Are you looking to get your commercial property in front of as many eyes as possible? One of the most effective ways of showcasing properties is through virtual tours. And in this video, I'll go over everything you need to know about virtual property tours. Generally speaking, the best spaces for virtual tours are going to be those that are already camera ready. So that just means that they have some fresh painted carpet already installed in them. This is going to include spec suites, white box space, move-in ready space, and sometimes even shell space. One thing to keep in mind is that a 360 photo is going to show the entire space. So spaces that need a lot of TI don't tend to present well in a virtual tour. Or you can do a tour of the property as a whole. This is going to focus less on the individual suites and focus more on the common areas and amenities. And then lastly, virtual tours work great for single user standalone buildings. When a tenant looks for a space, tenant rep brokers tend to conduct market surveys to show what options that tenant has in the market. That tenant will then narrow down that list into a short list with about 10 to 15 properties to go tour usually. Now, due to COVID-19, tenants are being a little more selective about how many properties they go tour, so we're starting to see those short lists get shorter and shorter. Well, if you have a virtual tour, that just means that your property is more likely to make it onto those tenant short lists because they've already had a chance to check out the space and see what potential it has. A virtual tour is going to allow tenants to walk the property and experience it without ever having to leave their computer. Now, this is going to create visuals that are going to stick in their mind and making it more likely to end up on their short list. This will also help keep your property fresh in their mind during the decision-making processes, and it's also going to make it easily referenced when deciding just between a few different properties, which can be hugely beneficial. Now, normally you would have had to rely on 2D photographs or travel to have somebody from out of town experience a property. But now with a virtual tour, they can experience your property without ever leaving their office or home. Now, this is especially helpful when you're needing approval from out of town executives, which makes it incredibly valuable. Well, the short answer is no. A virtual tour does not replace a video tour. They tend to serve different purposes. A property video is really meant to grab the interest of the viewer and really play into their emotions. It's going to be used earlier on in the sales cycle and used more to gain awareness. It's really geared to tell a story about the space and show off all the highlights that your space offers. Whereas a virtual tour is going to be more of a sales tool that's going to be used later on in the sales cycle to help in the decision-making process. It's going to be sent during the shortlist process or even after an in-person tour if you want to help the prospect remember some of the highlights. Unlike video, a virtual tour is led by the viewer and shows off the space in its raw form. So this is going to show off the best features as well as its flaws. Now, a virtual tour can also substitute for an in-person tour if the prospect is out of town or sick. I hope after watching this video, you have a good understanding of the benefits to creating a virtual tour for your property.